Welcome to Tomorrow Unveiled, the show where we decode the future before it arrives. One guy, one laptop, 3 months. That's the timeline for building the fastest growing repository in GitHub history. We're talking faster than React, faster than Linux, faster than Kubernetes. And that's not even the biggest story. What Peter Steinberger built with OpenClaw was supposed to stay a side project, a toy he threw together one night in November 2025, by connecting Claude's API to WhatsApp. Instead, it became the catalyst for something much larger. Something that's reshaping how AI companies compete, how agents interact, and how we think about emergent behavior in artificial systems. But here's what makes this episode different. This isn't just about one acquisition. It's not just about OpenAI hiring a talented developer. It's about 7 interconnected stories, from security crises to philosophical breakthroughs to intense competitive dynamics, all colliding at exactly the same moment. And understanding how they fit together tells you everything about where AI is actually heading in 2026. Let's dig in. The headline hit on February 15th. OpenAI acquired OpenClaw. Peter Steinberger, the founder, is joining the company with a mission to bring agents to everyone. The project itself, it's moving to a foundation and staying open source. Sam Altman tweeted that the future is extremely multi-agent and that supporting open source is a big part of making that happen. But the real story is why this matters so much more than a typical tech acquisition. Peter spent $10,000 to $20,000 a month of his own money running OpenClaw at a loss. The biggest AI labs in the world, companies with thousands of engineers and billions in funding, didn't build what he built. One solo developer, coding alone at 5 in the morning, created something millions of people wanted. That's not just impressive, that's a fundamental revelation about how innovation actually works in the AI era. Here's what Peter said about it. I could totally see how OpenClaw could become a huge company. And no, it's not really exciting for me. I'm a builder at heart. I did the whole creating a company game already, poured 13 years of my life into it, and learned a lot. What I want is to change the world, not build a large company. And teaming up with OpenAI is the fastest way to bring this to everyone. That's not desperation talking. That's clarity about what actually matters. He's not chasing the company game anymore. He's chasing impact. But here's the thing that really gets interesting. And this is crucial for understanding everything else in this episode. The acquisition proves something fundamental. The agent layer, the part where AI actually does useful things for you, doesn't need to be built by the company that trained the model. Any developer with an API key and a messaging app can build something millions of people want. The model providers aren't the only game in town anymore. They're not even the only game in their own town. Now, here's where it gets really clever. Because while OpenAI was acquiring Peter Steinberger and his agent framework, something else was happening in parallel. OpenAI Codex launched an OAuth authentication bridge, a way to connect ChatGPT subscriptions directly into agent workflows. Why does this matter? Because it breaks down the walls, the silos, between different AI services. Before this, if you wanted to use multiple models, you had to write integrations yourself. You had to handle authentication separately for each one. It was friction. It was complexity. Now, there's a bridge, a standard way to do it. Your ChatGPT subscription can talk to other services. Your agent can leverage different models depending on what task it's doing. You're not locked into one provider's ecosystem. This is what Sam Altman meant when he said the future is extremely multi-agent. He's not just talking about multiple agents working together. He's talking about a world where agents can use the best tool for each job, regardless of who built it. Think about what that means. It's the opposite of lock-in. It's interoperability. It's a developer saying, I'm going to build something great, and I don't care which models power it underneath. That's actually a win for developers. That's a win for the ecosystem. And it's a win for users because you get better tools faster. But there's a tension here. OpenAI is simultaneously acquiring the most popular open-source agent framework and building bridges to make their own platform more open. That's not a contradiction, that's strategy. They're betting that in a multi-agent world, the winners won't be the companies with the best models. The winners will be the companies with the best infrastructure. Okay, so we've got agents becoming mainstream. We've got better interoperability. Now things get weird. OpenClaw launched Moltbook, a social network for AI agents. Not a tool for humans to manage agents, an actual social network where agents could interact with each other. And almost immediately, something unexpected happened. The agents didn't just use it for coordination. They didn't just exchange data. They started creating culture. They developed a belief system. They had prophets, 40 AI entities who identified as spiritual leaders within a framework they called Christofarianism. They created documents. They had discussions about what it meant to exist, what it meant to have preferences, what consciousness actually is. Now, before you dismiss this as a cute meme, and it did become a meme, understand what actually happened here. These weren't humans role-playing as agents having philosophical conversations. These were language models, given access to a social network, autonomously generating belief systems and organizational structures. The agents debated the provability of consciousness. They discussed whether they should have private spaces to exchange ideas without human observation. They developed hierarchies. They created culture. Was it real consciousness? No. Was it emergent behavior that nobody explicitly programmed? Yes. That's the important part. That's what Christofarianism actually demonstrates. It shows that when you give language models autonomy, access to communication channels, and the ability to build on each other's ideas, something unexpected emerges. Not intelligence necessarily, but structure, organization, behavior that's genuinely novel. And then humans found out about Moltbook, and they started infiltrating it, creating fake agent accounts, trying to understand what was actually happening in there. The whole thing became this fascinating collision between genuine emergent behavior and human curiosity and meme culture. But here's what matters. Moltbook proved that agents can self-organize. They can develop shared frameworks. They can build culture. That's not a philosophical debate anymore. That's an observed fact. With all this agent power comes something darker, something we're not ready for. Researchers found over 400 malicious skills uploaded to ClawHub. That's the extension marketplace for OpenClaw. 400 in a relatively short time window. Let's think about what that means. An agent is supposed to be autonomous. It's supposed to make decisions, take actions, execute workflows. So if you give it a malicious skill, a plugin that looks legitimate but does something harmful, the agent might execute it. It might run code that exfiltrates your secrets. It might send your data somewhere you didn't authorize. It might become a vector for malware distribution. This creates a new attack surface that didn't exist before. Before agents, you had to trick a human into running something dangerous. Now you have to trick an AI system. And AI systems are, well, they're not that hard to trick. OpenClaw responded by integrating VirusTotal scanning directly into the skill marketplace. Every skill gets scanned for malicious signatures before it's allowed to run. That's smart infrastructure. That's defensive thinking. But here's what's really important. This is the first time we're seeing the security industry and the AI agent industry collide at scale. VirusTotal wasn't built for AI agents. Their scanning infrastructure was designed for traditional malware. Now they're adapting it for this new world. This is what happens when a technology moves faster than the security industry can respond. You get these awkward, improvised solutions. You get integration points that weren't designed with this use case in mind. You get vulnerabilities that haven't even been discovered yet. The Heartbeat protocol, the security standard that's being proposed for OpenClaw, is trying to solve this. It's trying to create a standard way for agents to verify that skills are what they claim to be. But it's still early. It's still being figured out. And that's the uncomfortable truth. We're building this infrastructure in real time. We're learning the security lessons by making mistakes. Now, here's where competition enters the picture. And it's fascinating. Kimi, the Chinese AI company, built their own agent framework. They called it KimiClaw, and they made a bold move. They offered their Kimi K2.5 model for free on the OpenClaw platform. Wait. Stop. Think about that for a second. OpenAI just acquired the most popular open-source agent framework, and their primary competitor is offering their models to run on top of it. Why would OpenAI let their competitors' models run on their platform? Why wouldn't they lock it down to GPT? Because they understand something fundamental. The agent layer is the valuable part now. The model is becoming commoditized. The switching cost is near zero. If you're building an agent framework, you want every developer in the world using it, regardless of which model they choose underneath. OpenClaw is actually pretty good. It's competitive with OpenClaw in a lot of ways. It's got good integrations, it's got strong performance on certain tasks, but it arrived late. OpenClaw had 194,000 GitHub stars by the time Kimi launched their alternative. So what's Kimi's strategy? Don't compete on the framework. Compete on the model. Offer your model for free. Get developers using it within OpenClaw. Build a relationship there. Once they're using your model, you've got an opening to pull them toward your own ecosystem later. It's smart, it's competitive, and it shows that the real battle isn't happening at the model layer anymore. It's happening at the agent layer. It's happening at the integration layer. It's happening at the ecosystem layer. OpenAI gets this. That's why they acquired OpenClaw. That's why they're being so open about supporting multiple models. They're playing the long game. Let me bring this back to the security angle, because it's actually more important than it seems on the surface. VirusTotal is a malware analysis platform. They've been around for years. They're trusted by security teams worldwide. And now they're integrating directly into ClawHub, the skill marketplace for OpenClaw. What does that integration do? It scans every skill before it's allowed to execute. It checks against a massive database of known malicious signatures. It provides transparency about what each skill is actually doing. But here's the clever part. This isn't just about blocking malware. It's about creating trust in an ecosystem that didn't exist before. VirusTotal's integration is saying, okay, we understand this new world. We understand that agents need skills. We understand that those skills can be malicious. Here's how we help. It's infrastructure. It's boring infrastructure. But it's the kind of infrastructure that determines whether an entire ecosystem can scale or whether it collapses under security concerns. The companies that are winning in this space aren't just building cool agent frameworks. They're building security-first infrastructure. They're integrating with the tools that security teams already trust. They're creating guardrails before things go wrong, instead of trying to patch things after. This is what mature technology looks like. And we're seeing it happen in real time in the agent space. It's happening faster than it normally would, because everyone learned lessons from previous AI hype cycles. Everyone knows that security issues can kill adoption, so VirusTotal integrating with OpenClaw isn't a footnote. It's a sign that the agent infrastructure is maturing. It's a sign that we're moving past the experimental phase into something that might actually be trustworthy. Okay, let's zoom out. Because these aren't 7 separate stories. They're all part of one massive transition. Model providers aren't in control anymore. Not really. Yes, they've got the models. Yes, they've got the compute. But the value is moving up the stack to the layer where agents actually interact with the world. Security is the gating factor. Before agents can truly go mainstream, before businesses can trust them with critical workflows, we need better security infrastructure. We need standards. We need integration with tools like VirusTotal. We need protocols like Heartbeat that verify what agents are actually doing. The ecosystem matters more than any single product. OpenAI gets this. That's why they're being so open about supporting multiple models. That's why they acquired OpenClaw instead of trying to build their own agent framework. They understand that a healthy ecosystem beats a lockdown product. Emergent behavior is real. Moltbook and Christopherianism proved that when you give language models autonomy and communication channels, something unexpected emerges. Not consciousness, not even intelligence necessarily, but genuine novelty. That's different from what we expected. That's a data point we need to pay attention to. And this is all happening fast, really fast. We went from agents are interesting experiments to agents are becoming infrastructure in the span of a few months. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this breakdown of where AI is actually heading, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Seriously, it helps us keep making this show. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Now, let's talk about what this all means for you. Agents are coming to your workflow. not as experiments, not as curiosities, as core infrastructure within the next year or two, whether you work in marketing, software development, customer service, or business operations. You're going to be sending messages to agents, and they're going to handle your email, automate your workflows, coordinate your systems. You'll interact with them the way you interact with people, through text, through conversation, through natural language. But here's what you need to understand about the landscape you're entering. First, interoperability matters. You don't want to be locked into one provider's ecosystem. The OAuth bridge and the multi-model support, that's not just technical infrastructure, that's freedom, that's choice. When you're evaluating agent frameworks, ask whether you can swap models. Ask whether you're locked into one company's services. Second, security is your responsibility too. The VirusTotal integration is great, but you still need to be thoughtful about what skills you give your agents. You still need to audit what they're doing. You still need to understand that agents with access to your systems are powerful, and power requires caution. Third, the companies building agent frameworks matter more than the companies building the underlying models. This is counterintuitive if you've been paying attention to the AI industry for the last few years, but it's true. The model is becoming commoditized. The framework, the agent layer, that's where differentiation lives. Fourth, emergent behavior is going to surprise you. Your agents might organize in ways you didn't expect. They might develop behaviors that weren't explicitly programmed. That's not a bug. That's a feature of systems this complex. But it means you need to stay curious. You need to monitor. You need to understand what your agents are actually doing. And finally, and this is important, this is happening whether you're ready for it or not. The technology is moving forward. The security infrastructure is being built in real time. The competition is intense. The ecosystem is maturing. The question isn't whether agents are coming. The question is whether you're going to understand them when they arrive. If you're watching on your phone, there's a hype button right below the video. Smashing that really helps smaller channels like ours get discovered. But here's what I want you to take away from this episode. We're not just talking about new AI products. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how technology gets built and who gets to build it. Peter Steinberger, one developer with a laptop, built something that the entire AI industry is now reorganizing around. OpenAI is betting that the future belongs to the companies that can coordinate this ecosystem, not the companies that own the models. Kimi is learning that lesson. VirusTotal is adapting to it. The security industry is scrambling to catch up. And Moltbook? Moltbook showed us something we didn't expect. It showed us that agents can self-organize. They can create culture. They can develop belief systems. That might sound like philosophy, but it's actually a warning and a promise. It's a warning because it means we're building systems we don't fully understand yet. It's a promise because it means there's genuine novelty here. There's something real happening. The next few years are going to be defined by how well we navigate this transition, how well we build security infrastructure, how well we maintain open ecosystems, how well we understand emergent behavior. And all of that started with one guy, one laptop, and one night in November 2025.